A couple weeks ago, the entire world witnessed horrifying scenes out of Los Angeles. Molotov cocktails and bricks being thrown at officers, Waymo cars being lit on fire, American flags being burned, roadways being blocked. Today, we will stand as a House to condemn these acts of violence and to condemn the irresponsible politicians who refused to adequately address them. I think it's important to understand from the beginning the events leading to these horrific scenes. We should first recognize that ICE was undertaking operations in Los Angeles that have been very standard across administrations, Democrat or Republican. President Obama, after all, carried out millions of deportations. And the priority has always been to focus on those who have a criminal record and who pose a risk to the public. That is precisely what ICE was doing in Los Angeles. Among those targeted were murderers, pedophiles, and drug traffickers. It should also be recognized that one of the reasons that some of these people had to be sought out in the community is that the city of Los Angeles and the state of California have chosen to enact sanctuary policies that explicitly forbid ICE from taking custody of these dangerous individuals in the safest and least disruptive setting, in a custodial setting, that is, in jails. That is the explicit purpose of our sanctuary laws. So despite these facts, as these operations were being carried out in a standard and targeted way in Los Angeles, you had certain politicians who engaged in inflammatory rhetoric, and you then had individuals gather to disrupt the activities of ICE and our federal officers, and then you saw these extreme and horrifying acts of violence. Now, I want to be very clear. I will defend in any way that I can the right to assemble and protest, regardless of the content of what the protesters are advocating. This is foundational. It is fundamental to the American system of government. But violence is another matter entirely. This is not just a matter of protest crossing a line. Violence is the antithesis of protest. It seeks to shut down the process of deliberation, argument, and debate. It seeks to exalt force over reason. It is an abandonment of the American experiment of self-government. And by the way, this is especially true when the very purpose of the violence is to impede the policies of a duly elected president from being carried out. It is to say that a violent agitator should be able to overthrow, through force, the will of a democratic majority that has been established through a democratic, free, and fair election. That is what we bore witness to in Los Angeles. And yet, instead of doing everything possible to restore order, to protect the citizens of Los Angeles, to protect our law enforcement officers and our federal officers, you saw certain irresponsible, vainglorious politicians in California decide that this was their star-making moment, where they would egg on the violent agitators, where they would try to pick a fight in every way they could with the president, even going so far as to file a frivolous lawsuit that was thrown out unanimously by the Ninth Circuit. And worst of all, these politicians decided to place the blame for the violence on our incredible National Guard members, somehow saying it was their presence there that caused it. This is deeply offensive, and our National Guard members are owed an apology. So today, I hope that we can stand together, Republicans and Democrats, in making it very clear that protest and assembly are fundamental rights in this country, and that acts of violence are a grave threat to those rights. Specifically, this resolution recognizes the right to assemble and protest peacefully, condemns unequivocally the violence perpetrated against federal, state, and local law enforcement, calls on local and state elected leadership to work with the federal government to end the violent riots and restore peace, and expresses gratitude to law enforcement officers, including the Los Angeles Police Department, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, California Highway Patrol, Orange County Sheriff's Department, and other local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies, including the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, for keeping our communities safe in the face of